Hi, friends. Welcome again to another episode of Beyond the Clouds Edge to Edge Transformation. I'm Shankar Hemari of Blue Horizons. It's my joy to find people who are doing very interesting and exciting things that's transforming the world around us from everything from RISC-V engines to generative AI. And here with me is Jyotika Athavale. She's the president of the IEEE Computer Society. I think you're the president-elect, right? Or
That,
president in training this year.
that's correct. I'm the 2023 president-elect of the Computer Society, will be the president starting next year in 2024.
Tell us all about your journey, both in your profession and the work that you're doing with these organizations, the world's largest professional organization, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers.
Thanks so much, Shankar. Thanks for having me and for the invitation. I really appreciate that. My background is in the area of emerging technologies. I work on dependable technologies in my day job, so focus on reliability, availability, serviceability, as well as other dependable technologies such as functional safety, as well as international standardization initiatives. Last year, I was awarded the IEEE Computer Society Golden Core Award, and I'm currently chairing the IEEE P2851 Standard on functional safety interoperability. In my professional role, I have over 25 years of industry experience, currently a senior technical leader in automotive functional safety at NVIDIA, where I'm driving new capabilities, safety architectures, new methodologies, kind of a pathfinding role. System safety engineering, and focuses on autonomous driving as well as avionics. And then before that, I was at Intel, where I worked for 20 years. So, a long period, part of my career was at Intel, where I pretty much grew, various roles as an IC, as a manager, and then grew to principal engineering role. And prior to that, I was at Synopsys, where I started my career. I was there for 5 years working in EDA. I'm deeply passionate about computer science and engineering in general, and its potential for the future. And this is the reason why I pursued roles within the Computer Society, so that we can work collectively, with all of our volunteers across the globe and achieve what we would like to do to leverage technology for the benefit of humanity. So that's my journey.
That's amazing. And I actually got to know you in the process of your election campaign for IEEE Computer Society. And it was a delight to campaign for you. And then I missed the very first session when you're the president in training, which was about the predictions that IEEE has made about the future. Could you get into that a little bit? Tell us about where you guys see the world going?
Sure. I'll start by saying that IEEE Computer Society's role is to support and foster the innovation of technology. And so we do that in various ways. We have various activities where volunteers can participate and get involved. These vary from, conferences, publications, standardization initiatives, where I work deeply in that area. There's also mentoring and training and certification programs. So there's a lot of ways in which a volunteer can get involved and participate in creative ways in nurturing, growing, and fostering the development of emerging technologies. So our priorities in terms of the IEEE Computer Society for this upcoming year has been primarily on focusing on early career professionals. That's one area. We want to see how we can increase our membership, increase our focus on those students that are student members, and then they transition into a professional role, get their first job, become the early career professionals. That's where we lose some of those members in that transition, and we have a lot to learn from those early career professionals. I'll talk about that, as we go on, but that's one area. The other area, as you know, is we've been focusing on D&I, the diversity and inclusion, where, you know, the Computer Society greatly values what diverse thinking can bring to our work and our day jobs, and the growth of technology, and, you know, questioning knowledge from a different variety of perspectives, which helps nurture scientific breakthroughs and engineering breakthroughs. And the third one is industry. So we really want to encourage more participation from industry, really want industry to see the value proposition of the Computer Society, because right now we have greater participation from academia and government, and we're looking to see how we can bridge that gap. You know, and also have more collaborative research, or more areas where industry can participate and see the value. So along those lines, we kicked off this technology predictions report that you know, was published earlier this year, kind of focusing on identifying those key technologies that we see are you know, in our future, and then ranking those based on the top technologies that will have the benefits to humanity. So we published that report, we presented it. I think that's where I first met you in person, Shankar, at the Industry Hub event, where we went ahead and shared that report. But, you know, one of the main ones there was the remote healthcare and wearables, which was identified as the key technology, you know, from a standpoint of, you know, helping humanity, helping people in remote places get the medical care they need, seeing what breakthroughs are in our future that will help prevent another pandemic, for example, from occurring. So things like that. The other ones that stood out were sustainable technologies, as well as you know, making our roads safer, of course, autonomous driving, which is also part of my day job. And then, of course, newer technologies such as generative AI to boost more creativity, and, you know, have AI take care of some of the mundane aspects. But there's a list, you know, and I encourage everyone to go on our website and download that report. You know, has the ranking of all 19 technologies. And this was put together by a diverse group of people from various different geos and from various different entities, some in academia, some in industry, some in government. So it was really all the diverse perspectives there.
So let's start with what you see in remote healthcare and services. What role can computer scientists, electronics, and electrical engineers play in transforming this whole sector of remote healthcare?
Yeah, so we haven't kicked off a specific initiative on remote healthcare, but the way we see it is remote healthcare and advanced wearables will enable patients that are in remote places to get this remote medical assistance, and physicians to perform procedures, you know, for these kind of patients, consult with remote experts, have access to vital health information. So really targeting folks in those remote geos, or who don't have access to the healthcare, to be able to see how we can use our technology in terms of providing these wearables, or, you know, by even using other newer technologies that we have to provide them with this assistance. You know, we already started doing that during the pandemic. We also talked about augmented reality and how that will help, you know, with this integration between the real world and cyberspace, and, you know, using that to bridge the gap. So I think that's one area where we want to help support. We still need to define initiatives from the Computer Society as to how we will, you know, help address that. But that's definitely one of the key areas that stood out in our ranking.
That's wonderful. And before we proceed, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Intel and at NVIDIA, as well as at Synopsys. I worked at Intel and Synopsys, and NVIDIA was one of our first major customers that brought in everything from power and GPUs and all that. So one of the things I like about IEEE is how it looks into the future and actually makes it happen in some ways. The standards and the conferences, the the get-togethers, the forums, and the nurturing or bringing in attention to DARPA and other funding agencies. So, do you see that happening in these initiatives that you mentioned, sustainability, autonomous
Mhm.
systems, healthcare? Where would the IEEE Computer Society be involved in what ways?
Absolutely. No, it's a great question. And in fact, we are in the planning stage of that. There is a new conference that we plan to kick off next year on sustainable technologies, on sustainability, and we're in the planning phases of that. So that was also one of the key technologies that came out of that study that we did, the tech predictions report. And so right now we are planning our committee to work on that conference, which we will be inaugurated next year, and we are pulling in representation from various companies, including some of the VCs, including Meta, and just trying to organize that event as we speak. So I think that will be one of the key areas. The other one is we're also trying to plan an event next year. We will host our Board of Governors meeting in June here in Silicon Valley in the Bay Area. And at the time, we'll try to plan an industry event around a technical area, and it will be close to my day job, which is focused on dependable technologies and RAS, and so trying to see how we can organize an event around the RAS challenges for automotive, the data center, and other markets, and really pull in that engagement from the industry to come in and share with us their perspectives, their challenges as they see it, and how the Computer Society can help and provide value to the technology and to their interests and their corporations.
And one of the things I truly enjoyed about being active in IEEE Computer Society activities, including conferences like the Design Automation Conference and others, is how they encourage students to participate and academics by providing internships, scholarships, and all that. Is
Mhm.
that going to change with the STEM education focus? Is that in what ways is it going to be enhanced further?
Absolutely. I think as you rightly pointed out, that is a big focus for us. There are a few things that we are doing. Of course, the STEM education, there is a broad set of efforts that we are working on, focusing on science, technology, engineering, and math education at primary and secondary school levels. We also want to ensure that we are empowering the computer scientists and engineer of the future so that they can follow their passion and think of what they can do in the future and what they can be and how they can shape their careers going forward. So STEM education, I think, is very important also to address the D&I gap as we see today. So really that outreach at those early stages of childhood and early stages of schooling. The other is the Emerging Tech Fund, right, that we initiated, the Computer Society, and that is to really reach out to all of the different communities, and where folks can submit a proposal, and the call for proposals goes out at the end of the year, so the community can submit their ideas, and we have budgeted, as we do each year, a significant amount in that Emerging Tech Fund to fuel these innovative programs, and to also support anyone from any country of origin or any socioeconomic status, such that they have access to technology, they have access to making a difference in the area of interest, and they are not limited by financial means. So that's definitely something that we are very passionate about supporting. And then we have, apart from that, a D&I fund, right? So our Diversity and Inclusion Fund is in place because we seek to reach out to those underserved populations, those minority students, those diverse geographies. And we're looking to use that fund to be able to kick off new initiatives such as internship programs, scholarships, and other ways in which we can help those minorities and underserved populations participate and feel engaged in the areas of technology and engineering.
So you talked about the Emerging Tech Fund. Is that a venture capital fund, or is it a granting agency similar to the government agencies? What will be the nature of this fund?
So this Emerging Tech Fund is part of the IEEE Computer Society funding. This was during, I think, Forrest when he was president. He kicked off this initiative, and since then we kept it going, and we do get a lot of participation. We do get a lot of proposals. I think over 300 calls or proposals, I think, or proposals were submitted to our call this year. And so I think it was really interesting to a lot of our members who keenly participated, and we invited them to share their proposals, the top proposals, at our Board of Governors meeting in February, where the entire board reviewed those calls. We ranked them, and then we selected the top the top proposals which were funded. So it's definitely one of our top priorities each year as we go through our budgeting process.
So it's more in the research area or research towards development?
Yeah, so there's different kinds of proposals. Some of them are little workshops or webinars or competitions. There's just different ideas that come in, also various topics, anything from AI to AR VR. So I think there was a symposium called Exceed that recently happened, in which these AR VR MR experts share their experiences and help motivate students participate in using these tools in education in Egypt. And then there was also a cooperative human robot swarm computation project, which was established recently for human robot swarm systems to address urban challenges. So there's various topics that are submitted. It's really interesting to hear the ideas that are submitted, and the creative creativity that we see in those proposals that we are able to help nurture and fund, and I think that's what we would like to continue doing.
And before you got into management and really relationship building, what you're doing with IEEE Computer Society and leadership, you have been, and you are very passionate as an engineer too. What was the most exciting work you've done in your career? And what would you suggest to people, especially from diverse backgrounds? How do you get these exciting things to do?
That's a great question, Shankar. I think the most rewarding aspect or work that I've done has been, serving as a mentor. I started serving as a mentor when I was at Intel, continued doing that even in my work here at NVIDIA, and then outside of NVIDIA as part of the functional safety community. And I think it's just such a rewarding experience. And maybe I feel that way also because I see a lot of parallel, between being a parent and being a mentor, where you can really help. And it's a two-way help. I think, I've helped, I've found the benefits myself, learned a lot from my mentees, inspired each other during those conversations. And it's just really rewarding to see the mentee grow and accomplish and fulfill their goals. And I think that gave me at least sense of fulfillment to see that. And I'm passionate about instilling that interest in STEM, in our future generation of engineers and technologists, my children included. And, I really like to see that grow across all of the diverse groups. So yeah, that's been my most fulfilling experience so far, is, in the mentor-mentee relationships. So.
In fact, it's amazing. I would probably say the exact same thing. I spent 5 years in Mexico and India, and in some other rural areas in the United States. And that was definitely my most exciting thing. But we also have our soft corner of our technologies, right?
Yeah.
Which technology would you say excited you the most in the past? And
Mhm.
what's a prediction about where do you see the future of technology per se?
No, it's a great question. I think from my personal career journey, I spent most of my years doing reliability, and that's where kind of my roots were. Started that work at Intel, where I spent a couple of decades, in technology manufacturing group, and then that uh, ranged from uh, reliability modeling, reliability architectures, product qualification, and then um, evolved into functional safety. And now I'm working on dependable technologies to kind of, expanded that across other dependable technologies and standardization. So I really, I'm passionate about that area, about dependability in general, and about RAS in particular. Radiation effects is one of my key, first loves, as you would say, is one that I started working on. I had the privilege to work on it with Jose Myers back in 2001 when I joined Intel, where it wasn't really a key issue at that point, but now it's becoming one of our key challenges, even in functional safety. We see the transient faults dominate our, fit rates, and we look for creative ways to mitigate those. In my other role in flight safety and avionics, we see that as a magnified problem at those higher elevations. And how do you address transient faults, and how do you address radiation effects, in space? So that's my personal, interest. I think with respect to technologies as a whole, I would say, what we have in the technology predictions report, and certainly I think with the AI boom happening right now, we see a lot of that growth, going to take on. Looking from the IEEE Computer Society lens, looking at it is from that lens is very different compared to looking at technologies from a business lens, right? And so what makes the work in the Computer Society so much more interesting is because it has a huge impact on humanity and the success of humanity, and we really focus on those technologies that are useful to our the people around the globe, to our planet, to you know, as I mentioned, things like healthcare, making our roads safer, environmental friendly technologies, and that's what we see as the value. So, it's probably my altruistic view, but I think this is where the work in IEEE differs from the work in, what we do in our day jobs, right?
And altruism can be great business as well, right? And do you see the work that's happening in dependability changing the face of autonomous system?
Mhm.
How do you see that in emerging areas such as digital twins and uh, I don't know, autonomous systems and all that? Please
Mhm.
educate us on that.
Sure. No, thanks for asking. And this also ties in very well with the new standardization initiative that we are driving, which is the IEEE P2851, which in fact is we're looking to publish that by the end of the year. But that's focused on defining a dependability life cycle, and then within that framework of the dependability life cycle and the different phases that we've defined, that overlay product development all the way from concept through production and post-production. We define activities that need to be performed, during that safety engineering process, and then how we can make those activities interoperable. But really, the scope of dependability spans across various safety critical systems, be it automotive, be it industrial, robotics, or medical, or avionics, right? And the technologies that dependability encompasses includes functional safety, reliability, availability, maintainability, cybersecurity in real time. And all of these technologies need to be considered holistically, and they all have their own requirements. And so the idea is to consider the the interaction of all of these technologies, the synergies and the conflicts between them, and consider, them in a holistic way as we execute our safety engineering work, such that, we don't, we are not uh, neglecting the requirements and then having to address them at a later point. So it's defining that entire life cycle and defining the aspects of the dependability attributes, as we call them, that need to be considered for each activity, such that we are addressing, the trade-offs, as we walk through the different activities in product development. But yeah, I mean, the first pass, or at least what we're looking at, is just these four domains. We're looking at automotive, we're looking at industrial, medical, and avionics, but this also applies to other safety critical domains, such as, autonomous railways, autonomous ships, or, any other safety critical domain. And that's, growing. And so we're going to see more and more this need of addressing dependability. When we do our safety engineering work, we do see that our failure rates are dominated by transient effects, right? So by transient faults. So that is key, and kind of, that's what is interesting also as we go down to the smaller geometries, as we move, our process technology from FinFET to GAA, and the smaller technology nodes. We're going to see there's just problem statement changing. Even when we go to quantum computing, we're going to see this problem statement evolve. And so I think it's there. We just have to look at creative ways in addressing it, and whether it's addressing it in the process technology or in the microarchitecture or in the upper layers of the stack. But you have to, you have to think of creative ways of addressing it as the problem grows and systems get more and more complex.
When you and I joined the industry, it was still very much a male-dominated, pretty much a white management industry. So much has changed. Today, Dr. Lisa Su is the crown princess of the CPU revolution, and we have a member of the LGBT community running one of the largest, computer franchises in the world, the laptops and the mobile devices. In what ways, in your opinion, has diversity and inclusion contributed to richness in our industry, in the hardware, the software, overall in the computer industry? And what's your prediction for the future?
No, I think it's a great question. And I think also, I think you will relate to this as also coming from that perspective, from a reliability background. And as we know, diversity is one of the mitigations, right, for having a more robust system. The more diverse architectures you introduce, the more diverse solutions you employ, your system is more robust. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that, in our day jobs, as we question knowledge from a variety of perspectives. We challenge, our current solution in different ways, in different diverse ways, and that's what leads to a more robust product, a more robust offering, and that's what leads to the breakthroughs. And I think that we really need to encourage that and grow it. And I'm really happy, as you mentioned, all those examples that you mentioned, those are inspiring to myself, to others, to all of our diverse communities. And I think the best way to lead is by example. And when we see these examples, I think it motivates and encourages the next generation of technologists and engineers in those diverse groups, that this is who I want to be, this is my role model, and this is how I see my future. So it shows that it's possible, and it show I think is moving in the right direction. I think the Computer Society is committed to doing what we can to continue to grow it and foster it. We've seen changes as well on our leadership. We have more representation from those diverse groups now, and we really like to see that grow in our membership as well, right? So have that next generation, have a more even representation across those diverse groups. So
Wonderful. And speaking of how much things have changed, Again, sustainability was something we didn't really think about in the 80s and 90s, and today it's become absolutely necessary. In what ways is IEEE participating in this whole sustainability drive? And how far do you think we are? I mean, are we making sustainable systems, hardware, software? Where are we?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, I wouldn't speak on behalf of all IEEE because there's, different groups looking at this from, their different perspectives. The Computer Society does actively work with the IEEE future directions. Some of our technologies in our tech predictions report. Some of those will be addressed by future directions. But from the Computer Society perspective, at this point, our plan is to kick off this initial workshop or conference, as I mentioned, next year, where we are, still in the defining phase, but we'd like to invite participation from industries, working on these aspects, with green computing, with environment friendly solutions, and share their work, and look at how we can help foster and grow that further. So really, that planning committee it's really in the early stage at this point, but there is a significant budget allocated for sustainability, and we'd like to grow that with this inaugural workshop slash conference that we plan to kick off latter part of next year.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned about the effort IEEE and the Computer Society is putting into bridging the gap between students, getting them into STEM education and the industry. But likewise, as you know, in mid-career, many engineers feel that they're out of date. So much has changed from assembly language programming to a C++ to Python to now no code, low code. Is there any initiative to get engineers thinking about where they want to go, how they want to be? Because we have such a shortage of engineers.
I think that even though our focus right now is looking at that transition between student to early career, you're absolutely right that we do have also a lot of the membership lost in that mid-career, late career phase. And I think that we definitely need to focus on that and bring back that value proposition. In my view, I see that the Computer Society is that platform that provides a huge network. And when I talk to people, for example, in my company, in R&D, or in other groups, they see the value not only in things like standards, but also in conferences, because that's where we provide that platform to really interact with other folks in the industry, really understand what is the work that is happening there in terms of their technological breakthroughs and advancements, but also providing a network and where people do find their future jobs. So, we have career boards, for example, as part of our conferences, and, building our contacts, helps people also consider, what's in their future career, and really establish the network. And as you know, as folks grow and navigate their career, it is through these contacts and connections that they are able to find a lot of their future uh, positions and future jobs. So I think that's one of the key uh, advantages, I think, of the Computer Society membership, and that late career phase is also, to grow your network and to be able to connect with other folks in other industry, and reach out and find ways to contribute across the industry and other companies potentially.
Again, switching to the personal side, when my daughter was 2 years old, she proclaimed one day she wants to be the president of the United States. And I said, take small steps, but where would you want to start today? And so my question to you is, let's start with the president of IEEE Computer Society. What does it take? And in future, if anybody from a diverse community wants to be the president of IEEE CS, how should they groom themselves, or how should they plan their career so that they can represent one of the most esteemed societies within IEEE?
That's a great question. Thanks, Shankar, for asking. I think the advice I would give is, to dream big. and to always believe that you have that unlimited potential to reach your dream. Don't accept barriers. There's always ways to navigate the barriers where you have a will to move forward. The other thing I would say is to get a mentor. I think a mentor is especially helpful. It really helped me navigate my career and the challenges, and also to build a support system around you, especially as a woman in tech. I think that's really incredibly important when you're, as a mother, trying to juggle your family with your career. It's very important to have, that support around you to help you, along the way. And so I think those are some of the pieces of advice I would give, about for moving forward. The opportunities are endless, and I think that it's just that passion and confidence that should lead the way, and the opportunities will come knocking at the door.
We are approaching the International Women in Engineering Day. That's next week, right? The 23rd of June. So to everybody out there, it's such a delight to see diversity overall, and particularly women in engineering, which was almost unheard of when I went to college. So, and again, I'm so excited about all the things that are happening in our universe, uh, from whether it's an AMD chip to GPUs to AI, ML, and everything. And it's good to have people from all backgrounds. So, to everyone out there, I would love to hear from you. I would love to talk about technology and where it's heading and what's really beyond the clouds. And to give you a clue, we call it blue skies or blue horizons. That's why I named my company Blue Horizons. So thanks again. And we are approaching Juneteenth, again, an amazing holiday. So please come participate, talk about where you see the industry is going. Thanks again, Jyotika, for joining us.
Thank you, Shankar. I just wanted to mention in closing that if you're not already a member of the Computer Society, I encourage you to join, to seek out the programs that support all of us. It's not just about conferences and publications. It's about growing the next generation of scientists and engineers, making the world a better place. And I'm really excited about the progress that we've made and our future opportunities in 2024 when I'm the president. And I'm looking forward to it. And future is bright, so need your support. Thanks,
Yes, and
everyone.
they give really good scholarships and all kinds of things. I got one in the 80s, and I'm so excited. That's
Congratulations.
what brought me to the Silicon Valley in the first place.
That's
So
awesome. Great
thank
to
you
hear.
again. And yes, all power to IEEE Computer Society, which has shaped my career among the careers of millions of people.
Thanks, Shankar. Thank you very much.